Shalom, shalom, shalom. I want to give all honor, glory, and praises unto Yahawah, Bahashem, YAHAWASHI, Bahashem, QADASH. Double honor some elders at Great Millstone, taught me the truth of the Spirit. Sing unto the elect, peace and blessing to the one third, and to the confusion of faces in the four corners of the earth. Shalom. As you can see by the title, spiritual form, not black Israelites, only Hebrew Israelites, Israelite foreigners. And the reason why I'm bringing this out is because salvation, according to the Bible, is only for Israel. But people get it misconstrued who the Lord's people are today because the people who control the world, so to say, small hats, curly sideburners, 1948ers, they, claim to be these people, right? But they don't fit any of the prophecy. They don't fit any of the curses. And one of the curses would be that we will be scattered to the four winds of the earth, and that happened according to the transatlantic slave trade. Now, black is a proverb or a byword. Another word, it's a nasty word to describe someone because black is negative, evil, dark, gloomy. White is to be pure, positive, righteous, and holy. So to say you're a white person saying that you're a holy, righteous person, so you're a black person saying that you're dark, evil, and negative. This is a negative connotation. Like Puerto Rican. Puerto Rico stands for rich pork, which really made a mockery because when they got there, Cristobal Colon and his people, they saw the children playing with little diamonds, or I'm sorry, little gold pellets, right, in the shores of the sand. The Dominican means like dog. Haiti goes back to Hades, which is the underworld, because most slaves will live no more than half a year to a year in Haiti, right? So you listen to all these names, man, they're all derogatory terms, right, based upon our people because of the curses that fell upon us. So that's no such thing as black Hebrew Israelites because even going into like all right, let's say black Hebrew Israelites, right? Okay, I want you to look at what I'm about to pull up real quick. All of this is for educational purposes, okay? All right. You have the Lost Lunas Stone. The Lost Lunas Stone is found in Los Lunas, Mexico. Okay, this is an artifact. It's from Wikipedia.org. It says the Los Lunas Decalut Stone. Listen to what they say here. Is a hoax. 10 years ago, it was never a hoax. A hoax associated with a large boulder on the side of Hidden Mountain near Los Lunas, New Mexico. That's a damn lie. You see how they trying to revise history because it's not Trump and his henchmen trying to take artifacts out of the African American Smithsonian's African American Museum. Don't they they're trying to take away the African American history inside of school. They're trying to take away critical race history, right? The reason why I say that because they're trying to erase who we are, what we went through, trying to have a new world order. This ain't no damn hoax. This was a stone that was found 2,000 years pre-Columbian era with the 10 commandments written on it. Listen, Yahawah Shimi Hawashai Shem Hakadash Barakathum as my witness. I've never, as many times as I researched the Lost Lunas Stone, I've never seen them refer to it as a hoax. I've never seen them refer to the Lost Lunas Stone as the Lost Lunas Mystery Stone. But it has it has the commandments on it in Paleo Hebrew. So it's not a black thing, all right? It's a truthful thing. But this is in Wikipedia. Man, boy, these are some devils for real. It's no way you can fake that because you can't move that stone. It's a big stone. It's a hoax, right? Check this out. So I'll go to an article, newmexico.org. All right. This is an organized organization. And it says, bear with me for a moment. Las Lunas Stone, the Commandments Rock, is an 80 ton stone. It's 80 tons, y'all. Okay, a volcanic basalt bears an inscription which is believed to be an abbreviated version of the Ten Commandments written in Hebrew. How can you make that up? All right. So going to the scriptures, understand Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth, even unto the other, and there shall serve other gods which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. You can also look up to where they found Hebrew also in Puerto Rico. The reason I'm bringing all this up because they like to use the term black Hebrew Israelites. And so I think there's no black Hebrew Israelites, there's more Spanish speaking tribes. Because if you even read the Bible without knowing the history, the time YAHAWASHI was on the scene, whom the world ignorantly called Jesus, there was only three tribes really remaining: Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. So what happened to the other tribes? Matter of fact, hell, let's go past the book of Kings. Read Isaiah, read Jeremiah, read Ezekiel. How often did you hear about Naphtali? How often did you hear about Asher? How often did you hear about Ephraim? You really didn't, because it was only the southern kingdom there. Because in 722 BC, King Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, sent the northern kingdom, the Spanish-speaking and the Native American tribes, over to the other side of the world, and that's written in the book of the Apocrypha, Second Ezra chapter 13. They even made a movie called 1492. In the movie 1492, guess what was present there? The Apocrypha. Guess who Cristobal Colon had with him when he went down to Hispaniola, also known as the Dominican Republic, in Haiti today? He took Luis de Torres, who was a Hebrew translator. Why would you have a Hebrew translator if you went to the other side of the world? Because you knew who you was going to meet, who you was going to see, right? So, there you go, Hebrew stone. I'm just gonna type in Puerto Rico Hebrew stone. It's an article that came out about a month and a half, 2 months ago, right? Boom, beautiful. Discovered in Puerto. Ooh, this was bad. Discovered in Puerto Rico in the 1880s, y'all, by a priest who was convinced they were a link to one of the lost tribes of Israel. The stones were declared forgeries in the early 1900s by researchers from the Smithsonian Institution, and so the rock's language literally collecting dust. And that's a lie, because guess what happened? An article came out not too long ago. See, what I'm doing, I'm going to Wikipedia. I'm not Wikipedia, I'm going straight to Google, just typing it in, see what they say. This way you're gonna have to sift through all the bullshit. Because look, this right here, this right here is the actual article right here I'm looking for. It says 800 ancient, let me read it first. 800 ancient stones with Hebrew writing in Puerto Rico authenticated with the exclamation mark. Authenticated in the Hebrew. And there's another article where it said dated back 600 BC. The reason why I'm talking about this history right now, because it's very vital. Like I heard my elder Apostle Gabar say this some years ago, but I always give reverence to where I hear it from. In order for you to know the mystery, you must know the history, right? So let's get right back to the scriptures. I read how Deuteronomy 28:68, and the Lord shall bring thee, I'm sorry, 64, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people. Remember that He's going to scatter us among all people. This is Jeremiah chapter 9, verse 16. I will scatter thee among the heathen, whom neither they nor their fathers have known, and I will send a sword after them till I have consumed them. So the Lord said we're going to be amongst the heathen. So we're going to be amongst the heathen, there's going to be some intermingling. We can go back to the time we was in ancient Egypt. Remember the story about the Israelites boy that cursed the name of Yahweh, and then he was put to death? It means that his father was an Egyptian, his mother was an Israelite. So yeah, that did happen. So people even talk about, oh, there were Gentiles amongst the Israelites. Of course they were, because I mean, you became You had strangers that lived within Israel. If a male child was born to a Gentile who was a servant in the land, they would still have to circumcise their child the 8th day. Nothing changes. Only difference is that you don't get those blessings. All right, you don't get the service of the angels and things like that. But because you sojourn in our land, you must still abide by our laws. It's no different than somebody from China moving to America. You must abide by the laws. They're absolutely different here in this land. Okay, so this is Jeremiah 9:16. I will scatter thee among the heathen, whom neither they nor their fathers have known. I will send a sword after them till I have consumed them. The sword goes back to slavery. Remember, we're gonna be scattered amongst all the nations on the earth. Now, let me show you. This is, and what prompted this was a conversation with the brother Watt. This is First Peter chapter 1 verse 1. And Peter, an apostle of YAHAWASHI, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia, elect according to the foreknowledge of God the Father through sanctification of the Spirit, also unto obedience and sprinkling of the blood of YAHAWASHI, grace unto you and peace be multiplied. But listen what it said. First Peter 1:1. Peter, an apostle of YAHAWASHI, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia. It said strangers, and this strangers are gonna fall into the Israelite foreigners. And I'm still behooved in the sense that they literally said it was a hoax. An 80-ton, I said 2-ton, an 80-ton boulder is a hoax all of a sudden. This truth is getting to Esau. It's cutting them through and through. You are of your father the devil. He was a murderer and a liar from the beginning. The physical manifestation. This is crazy. So understanding the strangers are scattered. So who are the strangers? This is James 1:1. James, a servant of God and of the Lord Yahawashi, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. So the strangers scattered abroad were the 12 tribes of Israel. Once again, in order for you to know the mystery, you must know the history. So there's really only 3 of the tribes left after the northern kingdom was taken away during 722 BC. So think about it. From like 722 BC all the way up until like 300 something BC, we was under captivity under all of the nations under the earth, and we knew who we were until we got to Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, woman, and child, the Greco-Roman Empire. They forced us to forget who we were and to forget our customs. Hence came the Israelite foreigner. You're foreign to your custom and your culture because it was beaten out of you. That makes you a foreigner. That makes you foreign. If someone comes to me speaking Cantonese, I'm gonna look at them like, I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean. That language is foreign to me. I don't know or understand that language. Right? So we became foreigners because going into the book of Maccabees, it speaks about Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth, they did a great slaughter to our people, and they forced us to make altars into false idols like Jupiter. They forced us. The Princess Diana of Ephesus. Um, our people was not able to circumcise their sons the 8th day. Right? We used to wear hats on our heads. We used to walk around half naked, committing homosexual acts. We started taking on the customs of the heathens. So we became foreign to the Lord. That's why in the book of Jeremiah, the 2nd chapter, the Lord said, I have planted thee a noble vine. How have you become a degenerate plant? You know, but remember the Lord said, I was wroth with my people, and I have given you to the hand of of thy enemies. I have polluted mine inheritance. Right? So the 12 tribes are those who are scattered abroad. Now, understand this is not a black Hebrew Israelite thing. This is a Hebrew Israelite thing. Yeah. And like I said, I cannot believe it. They're lying. It's called the lost lunar stone. the Decalogue stone. It had Hebrew inscriptions on it. They also had another artifact that was found that date back to 600 something BC. They was here 722 BC. The Incas, the Mayans, and the Aztecs. Remember the Mayan calendar? They were talking about the end of the world. When you go into the history, you had Israelite tribes that were stargazers. I think Issachar was one of them. They were stargazers, right? I mean, think about this, people. There are pyramids over here in South America. They literally have the same dimensions with the pyramids of Egypt. Why is that? Why are pyramids in South America have the same amount of steps going up them in the same dimensions of the same pyramids over in Egypt? Because the people that was here before pre-Columbian era, all right, or Mary Vespucci era, were Hebrew Israelites. I'm sorry, not were, are Hebrew Israelites. Understand? The Battle Creek stone had Hebrew inscriptions on it. How the Native American tribes why they say hi ya 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 hi ya ya ya. We know the most high name to be Yahawah. All they're saying is hi ya, or Yaha. It's just lacking the wah. The so-called Mexicans to this day, they wear ponchos with fringes. The fringes date back to us keeping the law, but you also have to have the border of blue. All of those are our customs, man. You know, it even speaks about Issachar. They found good rest. What does that mean? It said in the Bible. Issachar, the so-called Mexicans, they got something called a siesta, if I'm not mistaken. The siesta is when they find a time of day to where they rest. I'll never forget when I used to cut yards. Man, oh my God, I love Northern. Issachar, man, how you laughing all day, kiki high and everything. When it's lunchtime, they shut everything down. They eat. They'll put their head up against, they'll put their back up against the wall or something. They'll put their hat on their head and they'll go to sleep. Or they'll lay right and they gonna go to sleep. They gonna eat and sleep. And they get right back to it. There's so many signs in the sky, man. So many signs on the earth, man, to show you who we are and the prophecies and things that come to be. There's something as Black Hebrew Israelites. All right. We was oppressed together. Okay. So let me go into Revelation chapter 7. Okay. This is the book of Revelation chapter 7. I don't want to make this long, but I want to touch on this. Yeah, I think I'm gonna pull out some more artifacts. Revelation 7 and 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. They cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our God, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. So the mixed multitude that no man can number, different tongues, different kindreds, they all said, Salvation to our God. Remember what it said in Joel 2:27? On down, the Lord said, I am the Lord your God and none else. As a matter of fact, let's get that. It said our God, so you had to establish. So when you're talking about all the kindreds and different tongues of the world, that's because we've been spread all over the world, man, because of slavery. So there's no such thing as no Black Hebrew Israelites. And what makes us foreigners is that we're not following the customs of our forefathers. Joel chapter 2, verse 27. And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God, and none else, and my people shall never be ashamed. So who was it? Who was speaking in Revelation 7 and 10? They said salvation to our God. But the Lord said he's only Israel's God. So those that mixed multitude, that innumerable number that we read about in Revelation 7 and 9, those are Israelites. And those are also Israelite foreigners. Understand? Let me show you something. This is Matthew. chapter 24, if I'm not mistaken, verse 31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. That is synonymous with Revelation 7, 9, and 10. The angels are going to gather the elect of Israel from the four corners of the earth. Why? Because we spread all over the world. So how the heck can it be that when it speaks about when y'all say black Hebrew Israelites, when the Lord gonna gather the elect from all over the world, right? Also, the more proof of that of us being um Israelite foreigners, 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 1. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I will not have you ignorant. Ye know that ye were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led. Read First Maccabees 1. First Maccabees 1 to show you how they forced us to not keep our customs and to follow after the, the gods of the heathens. That's why when you read in First Maccabees 1, they made us make altars to their gods. That's why when you read in the book of Acts, like the elders say, in order for you to know the mystery, you must know the history. What happened in the book of Maccabees in the Apocrypha, that happened around 143 BC. How shy get on the scene till like what? Well, of course, 143 some years after. But then when you think about the book of Acts, when Paul was on the scene, a great slaughter came to our people around 70 AD. So that would have been 70 years after Yahushua was born. So all between them 70 years from the time Yahushua was here on the earth, I'm speaking as a man, from the time he was born into the time of 70 AD when the great slaughter came from Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian to the Hebrew Israelites. It tell you that in the book from Babylon to Timbuktu, it said the Jewish market was full of black Jewish slaves. It said a million of us fled into northern Africa. Hence, 1492 and some time on down, we were taken to slavery from northern Africa. But the first bulk of the slaves came from Portugal. I'm sorry, not the first bulk. The first slaves of the transatlantic slave trade came from Spain and Portugal. Hence, didn't King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella expel the Jews from Spain? But the first slaves came from Spain and Portugal. I don't know, somebody's lying. So if you expelled the Jews, then who were you expelling? I digress. Anyway, so understand that we were spread all over the world, so there's no thing as the black Hebrew Israelite. Right? You're gonna have Israelites all over the world believing what we believe. Like you can go into it's a video on YouTube of individuals in the Philippines. In the Philippines, literally praising, they got Yahawah and Yahawashi's name. I seen a cab over in the Philippines that had Yahawah and Yahawashi's name. Why could that be? Well, when they so-called abolished slavery, that meant that you couldn't import slaves anymore from the west coast of Africa. They extended their journey to where? East India. Hence, a lot of Jamaicans today, they have dreadlocks and they praise Haile Selassie. Haile Selassie is the East Indian, also known as the Edomite in the Bible. Why y'all praising Haile Selassie? He has nothing to do with you. Why y'all wearing dreadlocks? The dreadlocks go back to the yogis and the shaman. The yogis and the shaman will be like their spiritual priests, right? And they look dreadful with the long hair. So Benjamin took on a custom of the East Indians, the Edomites, by wearing dreadlocks and praising the Haile Selassie. But at the same time, you're talking about Jah and you praising to the God of Israel and Judah and Benjamin. Like y'all all over the place. But nonetheless, though, they stopped importing slaves from Western Africa and they went to East India. Hence, that's where Benjamin is. That think about this, y'all. They also call it the West Indies. How? They tell you, so it's not far fetched why the individual over there will be praising YAHAWASHI Shah because they were sending, they were actually exporting slaves from the Western Hemisphere over here to that side and then taking some from that side over here, mixed all over. And what's even crazy? Oh man, it's crazy. Dude in my job, I swear he remind me of Nightcrawler. Very dark brother. God, stringy, long, jet black hair, but it's stringy though. He looked like Nightcrawler to me. You know what I'm saying? He wear glasses. His father's, I think he said his father's East Indian, and his mother's like Jamaican or Caribbean or something. It's weird. It's some weird people. Some weird complexions in the world. This is girl. I couldn't understand why I was feeling her in a way like kind of cool. Come to find out her father's Simeon Dominican, her mother's Benjamin Jamaican. I'm like, wow. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, she has stunning features. I notice whenever you mix I'm sorry, not Judah. Whenever you mix Southern Kingdom um genes, which would be like Judah, so-called black person, with the Northern Kingdom genes, kind of like so-called Puerto Rican, Native American, they come out with some distinctive features. Like my father's Benjamin. I'm sorry, not Benjamin. Why I say Benjamin? My father's Judah, so-called black. But my mother, she's actually a Gadite, so-called Cherokee. So I mean, I guess I got that's probably why my eyes are chinky. Cause think about it, it's like think about King David and his grandmother, his great his great great grandmother was a Moabite. So hence I'm just speaking as a man. Someone down the line, some of us have that deep genes from maybe from that lineage. Like my cousin, his father's Ephraimite, his mother's Judahite. Yo, this dude is like high yellow with dreads. It's weird. Boricua. High yellow with dreads, chinky eye like a motherfucker. It's crazy. It's crazy. Whenever you mix those genes. But anyways, getting back to it though. So I just want to make a quick video going in on how we are not black Hebrew Israelites. We are only Hebrew Israelites. And what makes us foreigners is that we was not keeping the customs of the other we were keeping the customs of other heathens, but not keeping the customs of our forefathers. Tongue tied. Long day, y'all. I got off a 10-hour shift, but I've been so hyped in the spirit. I just had to go live on something. Now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring out a quick excerpt to show you about how we will how I want to say it. Israelite foreigners, how we were Gentiles. I just want to make sure I get my words correctly. So before I do that, let me go into Acts 9. So I'm going to go into the book of Acts, verse 9. Now let's start at, I'm sorry, it's not 9, it's 6. I apologize. Acts chapter 6, verse 1. And in those days, when the number of the disciples were multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews because their widows were neglected in their daily ministration. Now it said the Grecians, right? So in your mind, you think about, oh, white folks, so to say, right? So give me a moment. Looking up something. So we're going to go into the book of Acts on my blue letter. My apologies, I used my other app. Acts 6 and 1. I want to the archives now. Acts 6 and 1. And we're going to go into the word Grecians. Ooh. And the word Grecian is Hellenistan. Hellenistan. So when you go into the actual Greek, that word there is Hellenistan. All right. Now hold that thought. Hold that thought. This is a learning lesson. Grecians. Oh, Greece. All right. So right now I'm in the blue of the Bible. Blue of the Bible. Zondervan. This is the Zondervan blue of the Bible. So we just read Acts chapter 6, verse 1. Okay, let's go back. Acts 6 and 1. And in those days when the number of the disciples was multiplied, there arose a murmur of the Grecians against the Hebrews because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration. This is where you had to study this is where you had to study to show yourself to be approved, because somebody would read it for face value. Oh, Grecians, white folk going against the Hebrews. Nope. Understand who the Grecians are. Go back to the original text. And it says, Grecia is Greece, the home of the Hellenes. Remember that word Hellen. Greeks and Grecians, however, are to be distinguished. Greeks are generally those of Hellenic race. See, they're making a clear distinction here. Grecians were Greek-speaking Jews, folk of the dispersion from areas predominantly Greek. So let's read Acts 6 and 1 again. And in those days, when the number of the disciples was multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the, I'm gonna just say this, y'all, speak as a man, of the Greek speaking Jews against the Hebrews because their widows were, dang, their widows too. I just thought about it. Not even their wives, their widows. Because their widows were neglected in the daily administration, so their husband probably could have been taking on the custom of the heathens, you know. So this is going to show you, man, how we become foreigners, Israelite foreigners. And when you're reading about the Gentiles in the New Testament, it's not literally talking about heathen-based Gentiles. It's also talking about Israelite foreigners, Israelites who took on the customs of the heathens. Now, remember, it said in Greece in Zondervan Bible Dictionary, it says Grecia is Greece, the home of the Hellen. Remember that word Helen? So let's go into the word Helen, because remember, if you go into the word Greece in Acts 6 and 1, that strong is G 1675, Hellenistum. But I'm going to go into the word Helen here. Okay. So this is the word Hellenists. Hellenists, Jews who may greet Israelites, Jews who may greet their tongue, and with it often adopted Greek ideas and practices. People, what two verses are present here? Acts 6 and 1, and I also give you Acts 9 and 29. That's probably why I went to Acts 9 first, because I remember there was 1 and 9. So, who are the Hellenists? Greek-speaking Jews, Israelite foreigners, foreign to their own customs, right? So even though I made this about us, not being only Black Hebrew Israelites, only Israelites, and also Israelite foreigners, Lord willing, I'm going to take on a segment of the part where I broke that down from Acts 6 and 1 to show you that Israelite foreigners were pretty much Greek-speaking Jews. All right. So with that being said, I truly pray you was edifying, fed, stay in the spirit, don't fear it, just endure it. Ask for forgiveness, pray without ceasing, stay humble, remain diligent. Kwame Allah, Mafla Babal, Shalom.